All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. My name is Officer Kayadwan out of I.S.U.P.K, Jamaica. I.S.U.P.K started 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I.S.U.P.K is run by Commanding General YAHANNA, the one man with the rank and the authority to lead Israel at this time. I say Yahweh Basham Yahweh Barakatam to my brothers, Yahweh Shamar Alatan Basham Yahweh to my sisters. All right, so today will be, an interesting class, So for the past couple of months, we have been dispelling the lies of the other religions. Now, our ground as to which we speak, you understand? Now we have a show the evidence of why we say, black people over here in Jamaica, in the North, Central, and South America, our Hispanic brothers, they are the Jews. You understand? Of course, we never need any more, evidence than the Bible. You understand? We never need nothing more than the Bible. But of course, we have done the research. The I.S.U.P.K and the Commanding General YAHANNA have done the research. You understand? Contrary to what some people might believe. You understand? There are a lot of scholars in the I.S.U.P.K. You understand? And we here in I.S.U.P.K Jamaica, we learn from from the scholarship. The foundation of scholarship from our brothers. You understand? So it's not like this is not the Christian church. You understand? This is not the Christian church where, we just get up and start settings and we don't have any proof to back it. You understand? So we have a proof to you today that, the people who were brought across in slavery, that they were indeed black Jews, Israelites, and not Africans. You understand? So without further ado, just like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments. You understand? If you have any questions, just leave it in the comment section. All right, so what we are going to do now, the first book that we are going to reference is a book called From Babylon to Timbuktu. You understand? Many of you might not know of this book. It is written by a man called Arthur Windsor. It's like a Rudolph Windsor. You understand? And he's a black scholar. You understand? And he did the research. You understand? It's a very interesting book. So I would implore everybody to go and read this book. This is the book. You understand? Or even better yet, come to the I.S.U.P.K and the General YAHANNA. You know what I mean? And learn about books that prove that we are the Israelites. Because guess what? You see the books that prove that we are Israelites, they are being suppressed, hidden. Same like how them try hide our history. You understand? They hide the source that, connects us to our root. You understand? And then them sell with the narrative that we are, Africans. You understand? So, we're going to jump to page 84 in this book. You understand? And as I said, this book is a very, very interesting book. And we're going to jump to the second paragraph. See, and this is what it says. In the year 65 BC, the Roman army under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. So, in the year 65 BC, right? The Romans basically captured Jerusalem. You understand? Overthrow. BC mean before Christ. You understand? So they basically captured Jerusalem. You understand? We were under Roman rule at that time. You understand? The Romans were like the white, colonizers today. You understand? We were governed under their system, under their oppression. You understand? Which these oppressors today are descendants from, the Roman oppressors and the Greeks. So are the same people, but they call themselves different. They were a different way they call it now. Society. So you had the Romans. So it's a different empire we're under right now. So we're under the American Empire, which is nothing but spiritual Rome. You understand? No different from the Roman Empire. But back then, we were in captivity under the Romans. Let me continue reading. See? So it said in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem, right? In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state. So by the end, you know what I mean, by the end of 70 AD, now they put an end to our Jewish state. We were no longer a nation. Just picture the Chinese come to Jamaica and them put up the Chinese flag as the national flag of Jamaica, overthrow the government. You know what I mean? That is what they did to Jerusalem. You know what I mean? But in this situation, this is what happened. Let me read. See? So it says in 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus, you know what I mean, put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. So that is how they went about putting an end to our Jewish state. With great slaughter, they massacred our people. You understand? Let me continue reading. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. Right? So many atrocities took place against our people. You know what I mean? Massacres, you know what I mean? Forcing us to eat all kind of animals which were against our laws, you know, basically embarrassing us and eventually scatter us because our people had to flee. And we are going to come up to that shortly. See? Let me continue reading. So it said, these atrocities were committed against the people, the residue of the people. So these were the residue, the people who were remained. Residue means the remainder, right? Let me continue reading. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. So from the period of let me read that again. See? So it said during the period from Pompey, you understand? So remember I read about General Pompey, so that was 65 BC, right? To Julius. You understand? It has been estimated that over 1 million of our people fled into Africa. Now, would it make sense for the Jews to flee into Africa if they were white, if they were fleeing from white people? What sense would it make that they fled into a country that is full of dark-skinned people? That don't make no sense. You understand? And we're going to prove that, you know what I mean, the Jews, they are actually black, dark-skinned. See? So 1 million of them fled into Africa, see? Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery, right? Because at this point now, the Romans were putting us into slavery and all of them things in them coliseums, you know what I mean? You know about the show name, the Gladiator, you know what I mean? The difference between that show and reality is that, you know what I mean, for the most part, the slaves that were put in the coliseums to fight bears and lions and tigers, they were black Jews. You understand? Let me continue reading. Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave market were full of black Jewish slaves, right? And them say Jewish, but you know what I mean? That is just a term they use to really describe the Jews. But black Jewish slave, you understand? The slave markets were predominantly our people. You understand? We were the ones being sold off into slavery. You understand? And this all happened after Christ died. After Christ died, and Christ gave us instruction that, look, if you see Jerusalem compassed with army, flee into the mountains. We shall touch upon that shortly. See? All right, so we're going to jump to page 115. And as I said, this is a very interesting book, you know, you see? You need to read this. This is a very, and other book as well, which validate what we are saying. You know what I mean? This is not a religion that we make. This is not a make-up thing. This is not a religion. You know what I mean? Like a Christian church or a pastor just tell you what him feel in my heart and disregard what the Bible actually said. We do what the Bible says and we corroborate it with actual history. You understand? So this is the page 115. See? And it says the expulsion of the Jews from Spain and Portugal. Right. And why is this important? Because many of us not only fled into Africa, we fled into Spain and Portugal. And even before the incursion and before the occupation of our land, many of us were actually living in these lands. You understand? scattered already. You know what I mean? Scattered already. You understand? But for the most part, after Jerusalem fell, we fled. Majority of us fled into Africa. Some of us went into Europe. You understand? Some of us went, you know what I mean, into other places, right? But we fled into Spain and Portugal, and this is very important because I will show you that we got persecuted in Spain and Portugal. You understand? Let me continue reading, and this will get very interesting when we start about Spain, right? So it says, it was AD 1492, right? So the year 1492, January 2nd, when the Moorish stronghold of Granada surrendered to the army of King Ferdinand and the Queen Isabella for the first time since the 711, or the year 711. All of Spain was in Christian hands, right? So Spain was Christian by now. See, the decree to expel the Jews from Spain was signed on March 31 in one of the corridors of the great Alhambra, the palace of the Moorish king of Granada. The reason given for the expulsion of the Jews was that it was thought they corrupted the Moranos Jew converted to Christianity. So the Moranos was Jews converted to Christianity, right? So the lie that they told was that Jews are corrupting other Jews from Christianity. Well, in fact, you had to have Jews who were telling their people that, look, Christianity is madness. Christianity is madness. You can't be a Christian when the book is talking about you. So that was the problem. Just picture the I.S.U.P.K today. See, we tell our people to come out of Christianity. See, we would have been these Jews that they want to expel, because now we are telling Christian Jews now that, look, the book is talking about you. Why would you become Christian? You understand? Let me continue reading. By privately encouraging them in disloyalty to Christianity. And that is what the I.S.U.P.K do. You know what I mean? We tell people that you need to come out of the Christian church. Jews have been doing this from you know what I mean, from 1492. See? But guess what? We came up against persecution for it. Same way today, our people persecute us basically. Don't want to hear it because they are so entrenched in Christianity. But let me continue reading. All right. The ultimatum given to the Jews expired August 1st, 1492. But the last group of Jews did not leave until August 2nd, 1492. This date is of strange coincidence. The day was the 9th of A.A.B, or Ab. Then the fast day, which is reminiscent of the destruction of the first and second temple. You know what I mean? There's nothing new under the sun. You understand? So you find that things that happen to us as a people correlate to the scriptures because we are the people. Let me continue reading. Then Professor Allen H. Goodby say that the reign of the last Jewish king of Ghana, while you listen, you know, the reign of the last Jewish king of Ghana. Remember, you know, 1 million Jews, black Jews, fled into Africa. Listen, in Slakia, says that the reign of the last Jewish king of Ghana terminated in 1492. Then, in order to satisfy Queen Isabella of Spain, King Manuel of Portugal promulgated a royal decree expelling the Jews and Moors from his country in 1496. The Jews who were expelled from Spain and Portugal were scattered throughout the Mediterranean coast. It is estimated that over 100,000 Jews departed from Spain and Portugal during the persecution of the expulsion. Some of these Jews went to North Europe, right? So some of these Jews went to Northern Europe, right? I will find out that many Jews lived in Europe, in Britain, in Scotland, in Ireland. You understand? We are going to bring out some information today. You know what I mean? We can't bring out everything today, but we're going to bring out some today. You understand? Right, and somebody said red Caucasian suburb in Africa, Egypt. Oh, this person said there are no ethnic white Jews. Right, white Jews are converts, and we're going to touch upon that in this class as well. You understand? Of course, today is our brotherhood class. You know, we teach the Israelites. These same people are scattered. These same people who were persecuted in Spain and is now here in Jamaica. You know what I mean? Being persecuted also in North America. We are teaching them to live brotherly with each other. You understand? To live brotherly with each other. Because guess what? Same way how you have been persecuted now, or you are being persecuted now, is the same way you were being persecuted then. All right, let me continue. See, it is estimated that over 100,000 Jews departed from Spain and Portugal during the persecution and the expulsion. Some of these Jews went to Northern Europe, Italy, and Turkey, but most of them went to Muslim countries of North and West Africa. Right. And that is very important because West Africa is where they took our people from. But when we tell our people that, look, we are not Africans, them can't fathom it. They must say, well, if they took us from Africa, how are we not Africans? And this is basically explaining how we are not Africans. We actually fled into Africa. You understand? We were expelled into Africa, sold into slavery in Africa, and we also migrated to Africa. You understand? During different periods of time and in different groups and from different places. You understand? But it all begins at a certain time. See? The majority of us started to flee in Africa, you know what I mean, after, you know what I mean, the fall of Jerusalem. You understand? Let me continue reading though. During the reign of King Joel II or John, 700 black Hebrew children were ruthlessly taken away from their parents in Portugal and transported to the island of Santo off the west coast of Africa. So, you know what I mean, during the reign of this king, you know what I mean, 700 black Hebrew children, you know what I mean, were stolen ruthlessly and brought to Africa. You understand? Let me continue reading. This island is located near Nigeria, Cameroon, and Gabon. Allen H. Goodby says that the Portuguese founded the island of Santo in 1471. In the year 1484, King John II of Portugal, who reigned from 1481 to 1495, offered the Jews of his kingdom the choice of baptism or settling at Santon. Right, so Santon was like a prison. See? So it was be a Christian or go to this prison island. You understand? That was the ultimatum that they gave to us. You understand? So these black Jewish, these black Hebrew children were sold to an island, you know what I mean, which belonged to Africa as prisoners, and many other Jews, because of what? They weren't, you know what I mean, baptized into Christianity. And it is the same thing that we face over here. That is the reason why we are over here now, all Christians. You understand? We are all Christians over here because of what? The ultimatum that was given to us. That if we didn't convert to Christianity, we were either put in prison, right? Or put to death. That is what the reason why your grandmother is Christian and your grandfather is Christian. You understand? And when we in the I.S.U.P.K and the commanding general, YAHANNA said, look, you are the children of Israel written off in the same Bible that your pastor read to you. Them can't fathom it. Them never see the importance of it because the history has been cut off. You understand? All right, let me continue reading. The Portuguese were the first European to establish themselves on the West African coast. They came first as merchants and secondly as conquerors and slavers. Right. Later in this work, the black Jews in Portugal possession in the West Africa will be discussed in greater detail. All right. Now, let us return to the Jews of North Africa. With the influx of tens of thousands of black Jews from Spain and Portugal seeking refuge in Africa port, like in African ports, Morocco received a great share. But before this date, many Jews, many Jewish tribes were entrenched in Fez, the Atlas, and the deserts in Morocco. See? Let me continue reading. All right. We're at page 120 now. See? The black Jews who migrated to the Sudan from the north converged with the Jews migrated from the east Sudan to the country of Niger River. You know what I mean? We know about the country called Niger. Niger really means black. You understand? But this country was, you know what I mean, was full of Jews, black Jews. You understand? It is known fact that the Jews and Judaism were in Africa 1500 years before Islam. So before Islam even came to Africa. You understand? Which we are going to touch upon that Islam was one of the, you know what I mean, predominant, you know what I mean, religions in Africa. And they are, you know what I mean, they are also responsible for our slavery as well. See? But we were traversing Africa even before Islam came there. You understand? All right, let me continue reading. All right, this is page 126. At this time, many Jews became Christian out of fear. Many of them were known as secret Jews, practicing Judaism in secret under the guise of Christianity. So our people had to be hiding the fact that they were Jews, basically, right? Pretending to be Christians in order to, you know what I mean, avoid persecution, right? Some writers call these Jews nominal Christians, Jews who are Christians in name only but practice Judaism in secret. All right. In spite of all the prejudice against the black Jews of Portugal, they excelled in all the trades, skills, and profession and businesses. And that is similar to over here. Even though our people is oppressed, you know what I mean, subjugated, we still are the most talented, you know what I mean? We still, you know what I mean, show the most outstanding work. However, as a people, we are held down. But when it comes to talent and skill, there is no comparison to us where the other nations are concerned. We always excel in those things, but for the most part, we are oppressed. You understand? So this was the same thing. You understand? The wealth of the Jews was tremendous. Portugal, in a small country about the size of the state of Florida, nevertheless, in the year 1610, the Jews alone were worth 80 million ducats. The Jews dominated commerce and the export trade. So naturally, the black Jews would engage in commerce and trade in many parts of Africa after they had fled from Portugal. Right, so we were a very industrious people. You understand? We were doing trade and doing business. It was now that we are over here in this captivity, we don't have wiggling room to do anything because of this system ensuring that, you know what I mean, we don't do nothing. Even though we were persecuted in Portugal, we were still dominating because Portugal did not have a system that prevent our people from achieving at that time until they become fully Christians, and now they wanted to blot out everything that is, you know what I mean, Hebrew, Israelite. They want to now claim the Bible, make it into a religion, so they want to get rid of the people. You know what I mean? And the same thing happened in Spain. You know what I mean? But we're going to jump to a scripture, right? Before we move on any further to any more sources. Remember to like the book, the video, subscribe to the channel, and also leave your comments. We're going to jump to the book of Luke. See? Luke chapter 20. Luke chapter 20, chapter 21 and verse 20. We'll read, let's read 20. So this is the book of Luke chapter 21 and verse 20, and it says, And when he shall see Jerusalem compassed with army, and this is Yahweh speaking, this is our king, who the world called Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? So he's warning the Jews, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, see, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Verse 21, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries thereinto, are in the countries enter thereinto. Verse 22, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Right, so when it said in 70 AD, in 70 AD, when Jerusalem was compassed with army, right? And we fled into Africa. Africa is the mountain that Christ was talking about. When Christ said, flee into the mountains, we fled into Africa because Africa was the mountainous regions. You understand? We fled amongst dark-skinned people like ourselves. You know what I mean? And like the book says, it says over 1 million black Jews fled into Africa, and that was at that time. Over the years, many more from different places, different groups fled down into Africa. We are going to show you that as well. You understand? So we will jump to a book called The Lost Tribe and Promised Land. See? Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, leave your comments. All right, so, and this I will tell you, you know what I mean? Let me read. So where their theory about where the lost tribes might be, most of these assume that they had continued wandering eastward from their original exile. Right, we're speaking about the same exile from Jerusalem. You know what I mean? That we just read in the book of Babylon, from Babylon to Timbuktu. And we corroborate it with Christ saying that, look, when you see this, I will go and flee into Africa, flee into the mountains, see? To the remotest corner of the Y.A.H.N.N.A means, or perhaps even before on the Catalan map. All right, so let me explain the Catalan map. The Catalan map was a map before you had the map, the world map or the globe that we have today. Now we have Google map. That was the Google map of that time, right? It wasn't so accurate, you know. What they did was they drew land masses, and then they put pictures and pictures of kings and people or resources and things to identify the landmass. So for example, when they identify Jerusalem, they would put, like, you know what I mean, the scriptures, Jews, to show you that this is Jerusalem. When they show you Europe, they will show you like, all right, what I call it, the monarchy. In Africa, they will show you a certain king like Mansa Musa. They say, yes, this is that landmark. So it wasn't grid, and it wasn't as accurate. It wasn't cardinal points like we have on our maps today. See, it was more pictorial. You understand? And the pictures identified things and little jottings to identify things. But this is what they said on that map. You know what I mean? This was in the year 13. This was in the 1300s. Let me continue reading. So it said, on the Catalan map, near the inscription about Antichrist, but farther out on the unknown ocean sea beyond Asia, is yet another inscription. It read, Isaiah the prophet, I will send those that escape of them unto the nations in the sea, into Africa, and to Lydia, and to the islands far off, that have not heard of me, that have not heard of me, and have not seen my glory. And they will announce my glory to the nations. Right, so on this map, you know, was the map that people use for things there, you know, to find locations, you know, and on it, these people who wrote this map or drew this map knew that the Most High scattered these people. So them quoted Isaiah, right? They quoted Isaiah saying that the Most High would scatter us into Africa and scatter us in to the islands far away, speaking about the Caribbean. You understand? Because the world knew that Israel was no longer a nation at this time. The Jew, it was like the Ukraine Russia invasion. It was like the Russia invasion back then. The whole world knew about it. The entire earth knew that Jerusalem fell. You understand? So it was common knowledge. So even on a map, it was inscribed with a little writing that, look, the Most High scatter them, and you know what I mean, they are no longer in the land, they are now in Africa, and it was common knowledge. But now we over here, so in the West, we don't know nothing about that. We not even know so we are Jews. But the other nations knew it. You understand? And this is the book of Lost Tribe and the Promised Land. This is page 21. You understand? Good book as well. You understand? To read. So we're going to jump to page 33. See? So we're going to jump to page 33. All right. So page 33, same book. It says, the rioters set fire to the gates of the Jewish quarters. This was in Spain. We were being persecuted not only in Portugal, but also in Spain. See? Kill many of its inhabitants, force many more to the baptismal fund, meaning they were forcing us to accept Christianity, to the baptismal fund, see? And sold some of the women and children into slavery in North Africa. Right, so this was what they were doing to the Jews. So not only did they expel like over 100,000 of us from Portugal to North Africa, and you know what I mean, banish many of us, many more of us for different reasons, you know what I mean, which throughout the year, much more of us were banished to Africa. They were also banishing us from Spain. You understand? They were also sending us from Spain into slavery to Africa. So when you think happened to us while we were in Africa, we were also in slavery in Africa many of the times. And those were it was the Africans who had us captive because we were sold from Spain to Africa to serve slavery under Africans. You understand? So when we tell ourselves, we over here who suffered slavery, we are not the Africans. We know what we are talking about. You know what I mean? We not paint everything with no broad brush. Like how the oppressor would want us to do. Say, all right, we were taken from the west coast of Africa, so we must be Africans. Then how you explain so many Jews leaving from Jerusalem to Spain, Portugal, and all over Europe, being expelled from there to Africa? Then you can't really say all of the black people them in Africa are Africans. You can't say that. But we are going to tell you that the people who were sold over here are nothing but Jews. All Jews, all Israelites. Because the Africans are the ones that set us up with the oppressor to get rid of us. Bear in mind, you know, they were persecuting us from Spain, Portugal. Remember, it was Rome, you know. It was Rome who destroyed our homeland, you know. They were also seeking us, you know. They were also searching. There was a bounty on our head, so to speak. See? So all of the oppressors' kingdoms were basically persecuting us. So for the most part, when we were in Africa and we were prospering, because eventually we got the upper hands on the Africans because they are not as strong as us. We start build Timbuktu and other cities, big empires. These same oppressors sought us out and wanted to get rid of us. Them never want we come back to our natural heritage because guess what? They were now enjoying, you know what I mean, the benefits of being the superior race now. That is what was happening. They were enjoying, you know what I mean, the fact that no, we were not the children of the Most High anymore, so to speak. And they were able to do what they want and rule and build a great empire. So when them decide to do, we are under subjection, just like the Egyptians. That is why we were over here. We are not Africans. But let me continue reading. Then we're going to jump to page 34. Right? So page 34. See? And another reason for why so many Jews were in Africa. The government of Majorca, which is in Spain, sought to protect its Jews. So not all of Spain were, anti-Jew. It was mostly Christian Spain. See? So he sought to protect its Jews, right? Evacuated them from the villages into the capital of the first signs of trouble, right? And sheltering them in the fortress there where more radical measures seemed necessary. In that maritime community, evacuation to North Africa was a readily available resource, and some resorted to it, but without much help from the government, which was not eager to see the wealthy Jews leave the kingdom, because we were prospering in Spain and Portugal and all over. King James, the first of England and Ireland and the sixth of Scotland was a black man. We were prospering in Europe. But Spain, this Spanish king, see, the Spanish government, didn't want to see the rich of our people leave. But we had to leave because we were being persecuted. Just picture Donald Trump people trying to kill our brothers in the United States. And with all their millions, they have to flee and leave the United States. But for the most part, the Democrats don't want them to leave because the Democrats get wealthy after them. You understand? It was similar to that. So many willingly migrated. So not only were we sold into slavery, not only did we flee into Africa, but we also migrated to Africa as well. And over the years, hundreds of millions of us eventually ended up in Africa. And that is we now over here. You understand? So we have the sources. And don't make up nothing. You understand? So it said, let me read that again. In that maritime community, evacuation to North Africa was a readily available recourse, and some resorted to it, but without much help from the government. So on our own, we fled to Africa because we already know that there was a large Hebrew Israelite community in Africa. So we fled because we are saying, if they are killing us over here, we might as well flee down to Africa where we have, a large number of our own people down there. And where it's harder for them to find us because these were white people persecuting us. So when you hear we burn out Muta Baruka and them and say, yo, look, we are not Africans. Muta, I try, push us in the direction of Africa. But we have nothing in common with Africa. This is why. You understand? This is why. Zin? All right. So we're going to jump to another book. And we're going to prove here that we are not Africans. We're going to jump to a book called The Black Image in the White Mind. So we have a lot of sources. And these are the sources that I'm going to pull today is not even, it's not even scratching the surface. And we are going to cover this in more detail in the future. But this class will be just like a quick, a quick reference to why we say we are the Israelites. As me say, we never need nothing more than the Bible. We never need nothing more than the scriptures, which we have read some scriptures shortly. Then we never need nothing more than the Bible. The Bible said it all. But for the people them who don't really just in their mind frame and think that the Bible is a religious book, we have to pull the sources them for show you say, look, we did the research, brethren. It's high time now you come back to your covenant with the Most High. All right. So we're going to jump to a book named The Black Image in the White Mind. See? All right. So it said, in Crania, Egyptiasa, for my pronunciation, published in 1844, Martin pointed out that both cranial and archaeological evidence shows that the Egyptians, who are the Egyptians? The Egyptians are the Africans, right? So you have the Canaanites, you have the Egyptians, you have the Futhites, you have the Cushites, which Rasta know much about the Cushites, because them say them are Cushites. The Cushites are the Ethiopians. They are the Egyptians. See, so due to archaeology, evidence shows that the Egyptians were not the Negroes. You understand? As abolitionists and colonizationists had maintained, and that in fact blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as in modern America. You know what I mean? And these information, they are overlooked by society. You understand? Definitely ignored by the Christian church. You understand? But this author is telling you, this is, you know what I mean, the black image in the white mind. See? He's telling you, this is page 75. This author is telling you that, look, the Negro is not the Egyptians, meaning they are not Africans. As a matter of fact, these very Egyptians had them in slavery in ancient times. We are the people of the book, and that we are trying to tell you. And it's history we are bring out. We not bring out no fairy tale. You know what I mean? It's history we are give you. You understand? So when the I.S.U.P.K and the commanding general YAHANNA tell you that we are the Israelites according to the Bible, history, and archaeology, we are not making it up. You understand? The evidence is clear. And when we charge the oppressor for hiding our history, the oppressor don't deny that we are the Israelites. You understand? So this book says that we are the Israelites. All right, let me jump to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. So it's telling you that we are not the Egyptians, right? And we have a look up who are the Egyptians. See? We're going to look up who are the Egyptians. So we're going to jump to, this is the Pictorial Bible Dictionary, the Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary. See? And we are going to look up the word ham, right? Bear with me. All right, so we have the word ham. See? And it says, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live throughout the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. Right? So it said, Ham, one of Noah's son them, became the progenitor of the dark races, the people them who have black complexion, but not the Negroes. Same thing like the author in, you know what I mean, the black image in the white mind is basically telling you. You understand? Let me continue reading though. See? So not the Negroes, but the Egyptians. So remember, this author told you that, you know what I mean, the Negroes are not the Egyptians, right? But let me show you who the Egyptians are. The Egyptians are the Hamites, or Ham. But not only are the Egyptians Ham, but the rest of the Africans them. See? Who are these Africans? Let me show you. So, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, so the Egyptians, they are Matazariam or Mizraim. You understand? That was one of the sons of Ham. See? One of Ham's other son is Ethiopia or Cush. And you have Libya with his foot. And then you have Canaan. These are the Africans. These are the native Africans. You understand? These are the native Africans. But we are not native Africans. We are the black Jews who were pushed into Africa because of persecution. So you had persecution from the Romans who pushed us into Europe and into Africa. And then whilst in Europe, eventually throughout the years and the dark ages, which they call dark ages for a reason, because those are the times that we were flourishing in Europe. You know what I mean? The oppressor, make you know what I mean, want you to feel like there is no information in that. You know what I mean? In that time. But those were the times that we were ruling and prospering in Europe. Eventually we got persecuted and then pushed the rest away in Africa. You understand? And we settle at the west coast of Africa. But those thinking Africans never want we in them land. and them sell it to the white man. That is what took place. So you have the Jews now here in Jamaica, in Trinidad, in North America, and they are the children of God. They are the same people in the Bible. And when we tell you that we are the Israelites, we now make it up a history. That's why I pull the sources. And these are, you know what I mean, not even a quarter of the sources. All right, but watch this. We are jump to another book. More sources. See? So we are jump to a book named Valley of Dry Bones. You know what I mean? And we are talking to you about Jamaica now. But the Jews, them in Jamaica. See? Remember, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments. All right, so this is the book, Valley of Dry Bones, right? And it is, we are at page 62, and we are going to read the second paragraph. See? Bear with me for a second. All right, so this is the book, The Valley of Dry Bones, and it says, King John II of Portugal deported many of his Judeans. Who are the Judeans? The Jews, the people who live in Judea. Judea and Jew comes from the word Judah, right? So it says King John II of Portugal deported many of his Judeans to West Africa, specifically Angola. See? And many settled in the West Indies. John Bigelow. So John Bigelow is the author. See? And this is what he says. You know what I mean? John Bigelow was the person who brought out this information. He's an oppressor. See? Who went to Jamaica in 1850. This was when we were still in slavery over here, so, you know. 1850. Saw the offsprings of these Judeans and said that they were black. Let me read that again. John Bigelow, who went to Jamaica in 1850, saw the offsprings of these Jews or Judeans and said that they were black. The evidence showed that the Judeans in Europe up to the 1850s were virtually black, but died out. So you had Jews also in Britain, in Europe, you understand? In Ireland, in Scotland, in Spain, in Portugal. You understand? And when John Bigelow came to Jamaica, him see the same Jews them. You understand? Jamaica. Him come to Jamaica and him see Jews. In slavery, of course. But Jews nonetheless. You understand? So that is the sequence of events that took place from Jerusalem to where we are now over here in the West serving slavery. You understand? It started with the Roman persecution, where Jerusalem was put to end with great slaughter. We fled into the mountains, like what Christ said, which is Africa. And many of us, you know what I mean, never listen now, flee to Europe, Portugal, Spain, all these other places. You understand? Which eventually we got persecuted and all our way have to just flee to Africa. So the rest of it, the residue of us had to just go into Africa. You understand? But this all took place throughout a sequence of time, sequence of events. It never happened overnight and one time. All of this, you know what I mean, stretch apart a span of about 2,000 years. From when Jerusalem got destroyed to now, 2,000 years. That is our journey from Jerusalem to over here. At one point we were in Jerusalem. At another point we were in, you know what I mean, in North Africa and Europe. And at another point we were in West Africa. And eventually we were shipped and brought over here. You know what I mean? And the Most High warned us that this would happen. So we will jump to the book of Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68. You know what I mean? And this was all because we broke the Most High laws. Remember, you know, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Romans all knew that we were the children of the Most High, you know, that we had a covenant with the Most High, you know. It was so joyful for them to actually see that we fell because they never even knew that was possible. They must say, wait, the Most High really abandoned them people and let we get rid of them. Let's just get rid of them because them God no with them anymore. So them went on a full, you know what I mean, a full out slaughter and slaughter on our people. And over here, so now, no say we are Israelites. We don't know now. We think we are Jamaicans. We think we are Africans. You understand? So I jump to the book of Deuteronomy. See? Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments. You know what I mean? If you have questions, just leave it in the comment section. All right, so let me just read chapter 27 and 1. And it said, and Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, keep all the commandments which I command you this day. Right, so the Most High gave us laws through Moses that we're supposed to keep. Right? Instructions. We were the Most High's chosen people, you know. Then he chose us to be the leading people, which we have touched that now. So we are Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. Listen. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do these commandments, which I command this day. Which commandments? The same commandments that Moses gave, which him said, keep all these commandments. So him said, it shall come to pass, if thou shalt observe and to do all these commandments which I give unto you today. Let me continue reading. That the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. That was our covenant. That was our deal with the Most High, that if we kept his commandments, we would be above all the nations of the earth. We would be the ruling class of this world. You understand? Well, not of this world. This world is corrupt, but the earth. You understand? That was the promise that the Most High gave to us. See? All right. Let me jump to verse 15. And it said, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So, on one hand, the Most High said, look, if you keep my laws, then look, him going to make you be the greatest people upon the face of the earth. But on the other hand, if you did not keep these laws, curses would come upon us. Right? Let me jump to chapter 68. So we are skipped from chapter 15 now to 58. So you know that is about what? That is about many more verses in between, which list the curses that, you know what I mean, would happen to us. But the reason why I jump to 68 right now is to explain why we are now over here in slavery. Then, listen. This is the book of Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68, and this is what it says. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Right. But if you know the Bible, Israel never went back to Egypt. So what does Egypt mean? Remember, I used the word Matazariam earlier, or Mizraim. That is really the right name for the word Egypt, for the land of Egypt. The word Egypt just means bondage or slavery, house of bondage. So what this scripture is really saying, let me read it again and let me put the word in, the correct translation of the word in. Egypt is a Greek word which means bondage, right? So let me just use that word. See? And the Lord shall bring thee into bondage again with ship. Why it say again? Because we were in bondage in the physical land of Egypt. We were in slavery. That was where the Most High took us from. That is how the Most High bought us, you know. The Most High pay for we, you know. How did he pay for we? We were in slavery and he take we out of slavery. And he say, all right, now no belong to me. Never make one of the greatest nation on the face of the earth. Keep my laws them. But if you don't keep my laws them, never make you go into Egypt again, or bondage, or slavery again. But this time, a ship are going to bring you know. Ship him have a ship way out. And that is what happened to us. That is the reason why the Jews are now here in Jamaica, because we came over here on slave ships. The Jews are now in North America because they came over here on slave ships. You understand? Let me continue reading. See? By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. All right, which way the Most High spake unto us that we shall see no more again? We have not entered into the land of the promised land yet when this was given. So it was the way that he is telling us about, or he spake unto us about. Look, I'm going to give you a land flowing with milk and honey. See? We not reached there yet. So he must say, look, you see, if you don't break my law, you see the land where me go where me tell you about, we now see it again. So the way whereof I spake unto you, meaning the land flowing with milk and honey, where we now go now, we now go ever see it again. That happened in 2 times. First with the 10 tribes, with our northern kingdom, when they were, you know what I mean, shipped over into Assyria. You understand? They went into slavery with ships too, you know. Not only when the Arawaks and the Taínos were brought to Europe, you know, but during the time of Shalmaneser, you know what I mean, in 700 AD. You understand? They were brought to Assyria, you understand, by the means of ships. And eventually now they decided that as a, you know what I mean? So basically, they didn't see the homeland again. Basically, they were shipped out of the homeland. See? And they were now brought, they decided, which we are going to read those scriptures as well. They decided that now they are going to go to, you know what I mean, a land where no man dwelt. You understand? Meaning, because them never keep them laws in a them homeland, in a Jerusalem, you know what I mean? In Samaria, if me, you know what I mean, Slakia. Then, now them decide, say them are going to go to a land that no man dwelt, which is the Americas, which is over here. That is why when Columbus come over here, are, you know what I mean, Collins, Chrisambal Collins, which is his real name, his name is not Christopher Columbus. It's Chrisambal Collins. He was a fake Jew. We have a touch upon who are the fake Jew now. See? We're going to touch upon who are the fake Jews. See? So Chrisambal Collins, when he come over here, so he knew that the people were over here were the Jews. They were speaking Hebrew and everything. He knew that the people over here were Jews. You understand? But let me continue reading this. See? So it said, thou shalt see it no more again, talking about our homeland. We would not see it again. The land flowing with milk and honey, Jerusalem. So, as me say, it happened twice. First with the northern kingdom, when Shalmaneser brought them over to Assyria in the Assyrian captivity. And eventually they came over here. You know what I mean? And it happened again when Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans. And we were kicked out and we fled into Africa and we fled into Europe. When Christ warned us that, yo, when you see Jerusalem compassed with army, flee into the mountains, speaking about Africa. Because guess what? This kingdom, it will get taken away from you know, because we're disobedient. You understand? Let me continue reading. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen. So we were sold unto our enemies for bondmen. What are bondmen? Slave men. Bondage men. You know, when somebody have you under bondage, it's slavery. And bond women. So slave man and slave woman. That happened to us. You understand? So when the ISUPK and the commanding general, YAHANNA tell you that we are the Jews. We have the sources. The question is, who are you? Who do you call yourself? Because certainly you don't know. You think you're African, that is what them tell you. But you are the children of the Most High. You think you're African, that's the way you think. Because them take you from Africa. But it was the Africans who sold you to the white man. Because you weren't from Africa. You did not come from Africa. You came from Jerusalem. Or Yerushalayim. Or Yerushalayim in the Hebrew. Then, so remember, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments, you know what I mean? Share on all social media platforms. So we were sold into slavery for bondmen and bondwomen. No Africans were on those slave ships. It was black Hebrew Israelites who were on those slave ships, not Africans. You know what I mean? Let me jump to some more sources. All right, so since we are over here saying that we are the Jews, who are the people now calling themselves Jews? Because you have a group of white people over there in Israel calling themselves Jews. Who are they? I'll show you who they are. See? All right, so we're going to jump to the book called Lost Tribes and the Promised Land. Again, we are go back a page 21. See? And it said, during the reign of Abd-er-Raham III, word reached the court of Cordova in Spain about the existence of a nomadic people of the Central Asian steppes called the Khazars. Right, so a nomadic people. Nomads are people who wander. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. So they are called the Khazar, whose king and upper class has been converted to Judaism some 200 years before. This is how they became Jews. They converted to Judaism, not because they are descendants from the Jews. They did this for political reason. The real Jews were being persecuted and being, you know what I mean, expelled into Africa from Europe. You know what I mean? From Portugal, Spain, you know what I mean? And eventually from Britain. So now they came up with a political move. We are now the Jews. Because see it, we convert, we practice Judaism when they are really the Khazars. You know what I mean? They came from, you know what I mean, Kazakhstan, Slovakia, if I not say the word right, in Russia. That is where they came from. They are Edomites. They are oppressors. That is who they are. And let me jump to a scripture where I jump to the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 9. See? And these people who are the Khazars, today, they are the ones that you see in the land of Israel, occupying our homeland, or a small portion of it. See? They are the ones that own the banks, J.P. Morgan, they are the Rothschilds, they are the Rockefellers, they are the wealthy people on the face of the earth. They control this earth. But this scripture says the Jews are in poverty. The real Jews are in poverty. Let me read. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 9. And listen to what it says. I know thy work and tribulations and poverty, but thou art rich. Talking about the real Jews. The Most I know that what he did to the Jews because of their disobedience, they would be impoverished. But he must say, don't worry, man, I'm not rich. Rich, no worry yourself. But just a punishment for your time because of disobedience. So we have beat you. You know what I mean? But hear what the scripture said. And I know the blasphemy. What is a blasphemy? A wicked lie. See? Of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Right? So there are people on the face of the earth now calling themselves the Jews, ruling the earth. They are not in poverty. But the most I say, them calling themselves the Jews is blasphemy. You understand? Blasphemy. The most I not agree with that. You understand? They are the synagogue of Satan. You understand? That is what the most I call them. So the people them who today are calling themselves the Jews, they are not the Jews. The real Jews are in poverty. The real Jews were kicked out of Jerusalem, fled into Africa, fled into Europe, kicked out of Europe, Portugal, Spain, England, down into Africa, kicked out of Africa, now over here in Jamaica. Now over here in North America, Central America. Those are the Jews, not the ones that occupy the land of Israel or the small portion of land that them call Israel, who own all the banks, who own all the earth's resource. They are not the Jews. The most I say, that is blasphemy that them call themselves Jews. They are not, but they are the synagogue of Satan. But the most I know our trial and our tribulation and our poverty. But we're rich because guess what go on? Our kingdom are forward. We soon come out of this captivity. You know what I mean? All right. So we're going to jump to another script, another source now to prove that our Hispanic brothers, the Arawak Indian, you know what I mean, the one them when they call the Red Indian, which, you know what I mean, back then they were our complexion. You know what I mean? Our complexion. You know what I mean? Even though the most I say Israel is like a spotted bird, meaning that we have different shades of brown. But for the most part, our Arawak's brothers was the same color as us. You know what I mean? For the most part. Like you have light-skinned Negroes as well, back even in slavery. They took light-skinned and dark-skinned Negroes into slavery. You understand? Same way with the Arawak's brothers. You them the one you feel like say any light-skinned brother that you see, it mix with white. And that is a lie. They were both light-skinned and dark-skinned slaves on the ships. As well as they were both light-skinned and dark-skinned, you know what I mean, Arawaks, Taino, Native American Indians. You know what I mean? But for the most part, we were dark-skinned. Then, all right. So we're going to jump to a book, and it's called Yucatan Before and After the Conquest. Then, look here. And we're going to jump to page 8, second paragraph. This who mean here. Computer you can't really do much, you know. Best it can do is just Google and all them things. I do too much thing on a computer, I freeze. Anyway. Some old men of Yucatan say that they have heard from their ancestors that the country was peopled by a certain race who came from the east, who got delivered by opening up for them 12 roads through the sea. If this is true, all the inhabitants of the Indies must be of Jewish descent. The Strait of Magellan having been passed, they must have spread over more than 20,000 leagues of territory now governed by Spain. Right, so we know that for the most part, our native brothers, our Arawak Indian brothers, our Taino, our Aztec, our North American Indian brothers, our Hispanic brothers, they speak Spanish. It was when Cristobal Colon, which, you know what I mean, is the real name for Christopher Columbus, came over here that our brothers speak Spanish, but they spoke Hebrew. You understand? Cristobal Colon knew who he was. He wasn't last, you know. Them teach in a school that Cristobal Colon or Christopher Columbus was last at sea. No such thing. Cristobal Colon in Spain, he knew fully well about the Jews. And who are the Jews? Where they were? They, as a matter of fact, they expelled some of them into Africa. Then, what he was trying to do now was come over here and oppress our brothers. Because Christian Bank Collins was a Khazar, a fake Jew, a convert. So this was the plot. They converted to Judaism, now calling themselves us. Then, meanwhile, we were being persecuted and being stripped of our identity and forced not to be Jews. So they decided that we are now Jews. And then they went in, you know what I mean, went on a quest to find the Jews and to enslave the Jews and to persecute the Jews. That was what Christopher Columbus did. All right. We are going to jump to look here. So this street where you talk about, say, you know what I mean? Let me read it again. Some old men of Yucatan. Yucatan was in Mexico. You understand? Those were the Aztecs, those were the Incas. You understand? Say that they have heard from their ancestors because by now they have been over here for what thousands of years. You understand? Many of them even know them history as well. You understand? By now them over here are human sacrifice and behave like the Africans. You understand? I do all sorts of things. But they heard from their ancestors that this country was peopled by a certain race who came from the east, whom God delivered by opening for them the 12 roads through the sea. And we're going to show you what this 12 road is. So we're in a book called, you know what I mean, We Are From the East, We Came From the East. You know what I mean? Which is an excellent book. You can find it on Amazon. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, go on Amazon and search for this book. We Came From the East. Excellent book. Patronize that book. Trust me. Easy to read and explain. And it says this, so it quotes Esdras, which is in the Apocrypha, right? The book of Esdras. It quotes, and it said, those are the 10 tribes, you know what I mean, which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, which I explained before what happened to the 10 tribes or Hispanic brothers, how they ended up over here. Let me continue reading. Whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came them into another land. Right? So that was there going into Egypt again by the means of ships. So he brought them into his land by the means of slave ships. They went through the first slavery by the means of ship. Let me continue reading. Then 13 and 41. But they took this counsel amongst themselves. This is why they are now over here in the Americas. Then they took this counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen. Which heathen? The Assyrians. Salmanassar, who brought them over Assyria by the means of ship. Them no want to stay there, so. Now them a feel guilt because now them realize them get cut off for breaking the Most High commandments and laws. The Most High basically allowed Assyria to put them in slavery. Now them a say, look, we shame. So we are left from them, yeah, man. You know what I mean? Let me continue reading. That they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Remember, civilization was over the east. Right? Civilization was over the east. You know what I mean? In Jerusalem, the surrounding areas, what them call the Middle East today. You know what I mean? Africa. You know what I mean? Asia, that was civilization. Over here, so in the Indies, I just be an animal run up and down wild, man. No mankind live over here, so. People probably traversed, like, but nobody occupied over here. So this was the land that they were talking about. Let me continue reading. Verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. So they were kicked out of the land, served slavery in Assyria because they didn't keep their law, statutes, and commandment. Now they must say, look, we're going to leave Assyria, leave from amongst the Eden, and we're going to go over to a land that never mankind dwelt, talking about the Americas, North, Central, and South America. Nobody never live over here, so nobody never colonized over here, so yet. It was our native Indian brothers, our Taino brothers, our Arawak brothers, which are the 10 tribes of Israel who colonized over here so first. This land belonged to them. You understand? Let me continue reading. So it said that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. Verse 43, and they entered into the Euphrates by a narrow place, by the narrow places of the river. Right, talking about, you know what I mean? This is probably talking about the 12 roads through the sea. You know what I mean? Possibly. You know what I mean? Let me not jump that one. See? And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. Verse 44, for the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. So the Most High settled the sea, settled the flood, so that no storm or no obstruct them while they were leaving Assyria. See? For through that country, here was a great way to go, namely of a year's journey. So from over there from Assyria, which is in the Middle East, to come over here to the Americas, it was a year journey. One whole a year them take. The entire millions of them decide to look. And you know, say, as I say, because of shame, because same way like oh we were shamed when we got kicked out. It's the same way our brothers were shamed. So them just decide to look, we're gonna just cut. We know what, it's too shameful. So them just flee and say, yo, we're gonna last ourselves over here, so nobody not gonna find we, nobody not gonna disturb we, and we're gonna keep the most high law over here. So partly a pride, partly is not seeing any, you know what I mean, way to make unity between them and we, which are their brothers. You know what I mean? Partly pride. And pride was with us as well. We were so proud that we never want to join ourselves with our brothers. You see, but it was the most I will because we were breaking his laws. So there was nothing they could do about it. You understand? Let me continue reading. Verse 46. Then dwelt they there until the latter times, and know when they shall become to begin to come. Right. So that is why our brothers are over here. But Christian Ball Collins came over here, not in search of gold, not in search of, you know what I mean? Not lost at sea like what the history book them want to tell you, thinking that the earth was flat. No such thing, Bridget. Christopher Columbus come over here so for find with brothers. All right, the screen kind of freeze. I'm gonna fix this quick and fast and come back. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share on all social media platforms. All right, Oscar Lyrical say, here, bro. All right, big up yourself. You know what I mean? Want soon in the physical classes. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, go and watch the class them. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. All right, so we give the sources are a few of the sources as to why the people who were enslaved and sold into slavery are not Africans, but are black Hebrew Israelites, Jews. See, if you are late, you know what I mean? When the class done, just rewind the class. It was an interesting class. You know what I mean? No, we're going to show you, you know what I mean, that not only were we expelled from Portugal and Spain, but we were also during a civil war, you know what I mean, expelled from England, you know what I mean, and directly from England to Jamaica. You understand? So remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments, leave your questions. You understand? All right. Look here. All right. So this is an article. You know what I mean? We're going to go deeper in this in another class. The class here, it's not going to be too long. See? The class here not going to be as long as all the other classes. This class here, which is a very compact class. As I say, pull up the video after the class if you're late. You know what I mean? And watch back the class. See? So it said, this is an article, flag up Scott Jamaica.uk. Let me read that properly. Flag up Scott Jam.uk. Right. See? And it said, the first cuts in Jamaica, right? The Scottish connection with Jamaica dates from 1656, when Oliver Cromwell banished 1,200 Scots prisoners of war to the recently acquired English colony there. Subsequently, the island attracted a growing number of Scottish immigrants who generally arrived as indentured servants. So you had indentured servants and you also had prisoners of war, right? Totally different. So the prisoners of war was just sent straight in a slavery. But you have indentured servants, which were probably not our people. See, let me continue reading. At the same time, the government in Scotland was exiling criminals and covenanters to Jamaica. All right, what are covenanters? When you think of covenant, what come to mind? Remember, I know we have bring out that a lot of Jews were in Europe, you know. I remember it's we that say in England, Scotland, firstly, we say that King James is black. We know that for a fact. He was a black man, he was a black Jew. Then he was the one that ordered the translation of the Bible from Hebrew, Greek, and Latin to English. Right? He did not write the Bible. He took Hebrew scrolls, Greek records when we were in Greek captivity, and Latin records when we were in Roman captivity, and in order scholars, scribes, then to translate it. That's all he did. But we are telling us that he's a black man. He was the ruler. Zin, I want to listen carefully. Zin, he was the ruler of Scotland. The first of Scotland, the sixth of Scotland. Zin, and he was the king of Ireland and the king of Britain. You understand? Let me continue reading. This is why now we are seeing covenanters, which were, you know what I mean, people aligned with King James. I'm going to say we are going to go deeper into that in another class. Stay tuned for that. That might be the next class, my next brotherhood class. Then, covenanters are attached to King James. But like I said, when you think about covenant, what comes to mind? the covenant that the children of Israel have with the Most High. Remember, I brought out that Europe was at an influx of black Jews. We cited the sources. We gave you the sources. You know what I mean? We gave you the sources. See, these covenanters were black Jews and they were exiled to Jamaica. I will read that again. At the same time, the government in Scotland was exiling criminals and covenanters to Jamaica. Jews were being expelled to Jamaica. Remember, you know, with the brother name again, Slacky, I will find it back again. See, I come back to this article. Let me read this again and show you what. Go on. Because we now make up nothing in a bridging. We now make up nothing from. See? All right. This is John Bigelow. You know what I mean? This was an oppressor who visited Jamaica. This is what him said. John Bigelow, who went to Jamaica in 1850, saw the offsprings of these Judeans. Who are Judeans? Jews that lived in Judah, or the land of Judea. Jews. And said that they were black. So he came to Jamaica and saw Jews. You understand? These were the covenanters being expelled from Scotland and from England. People who were in line with King James and other black Jews. They're not going to tell you the story. They're going to tell you, say, no man, you're not African. No worry about nothing. Not that you are the children of the living God, brother. Not that you have a covenant with the Most High and you were supposed to rule the world. You can imagine you tell a slave, say, oh, I only did for in charge, you know. That's the last thing you're going to tell a slave, say them for in charge. You're going to tell them, say, no man, you're that swing pan tree like monkey. And you did make it over so one part. We filing over one part, I will help you and put you in a slavery. You're not going to tell them, say, yo, you're more royal than we. As a matter of fact, we supposed to have bow down to you. You're not going to tell them that you're going to last them. And we over here so last, brother. That's why the Bible called we the last sheep of the house of Israel, because them last, we brother. All right, boom. Let me go back to that article again. See? All right. The last group of Scots to arrive in Jamaica during the 17th century comprised of number of refugees from the failed colony at Durian. The Scots arrived in two main waves. The first in 1655, when as prisoners of war, they were sold as bond servants. Them put in this thing band indentured servant, but there's no such thing. That is pretty up. Remember, them I try hide the thing, you know. Bond servant means slave. So Scots were expelled because they were, what is a prisoner of war? Meaning you went to war with somebody. You went to what? Listen, want to pay attention, you know. Bond serve, prisoner of war mean you and them did a fight, them lose the war. Now they are your prisoner. See? But them expel them prisoner for serve slavery in Jamaica. So you tell me, say, the white man expel white man. You know of white people serving slavery in Jamaica? Was there any white slaves in Jamaica? Anybody have the answer? Type it in the comment section. Were there any white slaves in Jamaica? All right, it seems like nobody not sure. Let me answer. No. All the slaves that were cutting sugarcane in Jamaica were black. These are the covenanters. But where did they come from? Them one never come from Africa. Them one come from Scotland. And they were fighting against Britain. Meaning, it's like you're not Britain. They were fighting against, let me see how them, the colony, hold on, I'm find it. It's like, yeah. Slack ya. We'll find the right terms in. All right, Oliver Cromwell. Right, so Oliver Cromwell was the Edomite or the oppressor at the time who were banishing these Covenanters. He was a devil. See, he was the one banishing them to Jamaica. You know what I mean? And if you watch this now, look, the article, I'm going to show you the article. See, can't show you right now, but it will show you the Scottish flag and also the Jamaican flag and the similarities. It both have an X or a cross down the middle. See? And the Jamaican flag has the color of black, gold, and green. And the Scottish flag, same design, but it only have blue and white. That's the connection. There are many Scottish black people here in Jamaica who are Covenanters. You know what I mean? And they have another name for them. Let me see if it is this article. So you have the Covenanters and the Jacobites. All right, let me see if this have it. Right? Right, it have it. So the Scots arrived in two main waves. The first in 1655, when as prisoners of war, they were sold as bondservants. Bondservants are slaves. You don't sell white people into slavery. Them sell black people into slavery in Jamaica. There's no white people that serve slavery in Jamaica. See? No white people serve slavery in Jamaica. And this is Jamaica, them get banished too. See? Let me continue reading. To the English, and in 1745 to 46, after the failure of the Jacobite rebellion. All right, so remember, I know we just talk to you about the Covenanters, and me imply so the Covenanters are talking about Jews, and I'm right. You have many sources to prove that I am right. But no, you have. So even if I was wrong, who are the Jacobites? Who is Jacob? Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. Hence the reason why them call themselves Jacobites. You know what them really are trying to say? Israelites. Because guess what, go on? Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Our forefather Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So when them say they are Jacobites, if you don't mind sharp, probably they were just calling themselves Israelites. And the devil, who is the white man that the Bible speaks of, probably just change it to Jacobites just to confuse your brain. But we done the research and know that the people in Scotland, black people were in Scotland were black Jews, in Spain, in Portugal. So them can't hide nothing. You understand? So the Jacobites rebellion, it was a failure. Just like the Covenanters rebellion and war, and they were expelled to Jamaica. You understand? To do what? To serve slavery. Let me continue reading. Jacobites were supporters of King James. So when we in the I.S.U.P.K tell us that King James was a black Jew, he was the one that translated the Bible from Hebrew, Greek, and Latin to English. He did not write the Bible. The Bible was not written by any one prophet or one scribe. It was a collection of events that took place throughout our history as the children of Israel. From when, you know what I mean, we got the covenant to prophecies that say, oh, we will get back in good standing with the Most High. The Bible is not a book. It's a library of different records. It's a covenant. It's a constitution. Like if you go into the House of Parliament and collect all the records of Jamaica and then you start to read them out. That is the Bible, but it is compiled in a book form. You understand? These covenanters, me I go tell you, and we're going to bring this out. They were fighting for the right of the scripture. King James was fighting for the right that the Roman Catholic Church cannot corrupt the Bible. That was what King James was fighting for. The Roman Catholic Church took out 14 books out of the Bible. The original King James version, the King James 1611, have these books in it, which we call the Apocrypha today. King James was at war with the Roman Catholic Church. Oliver Cromwell was operating under the power of the Roman Catholic Church. You understand? It was always a war between Christians and Jews in Europe. It is the same war. Eventually, the Jews them lose. Why the Jews them lose? Because, you know what I mean, we disobey the Most High. So we get banished to Africa, and then the Africans them banish with the help of the white man, banish us to Jamaica and the West Indies. And that go on, brother. I must say, pull up the video when you know what I mean, when you get the chance and see the source them on my site. And there are many more sources. You know what I mean? Today class, enough to burn Rastafariism, even though we burn them and we burn Christianity. Today class, I have to show you what we stand on. Originally, you know, mainly we stand on the Bible. We never need nothing else. But we have sources. I don't make up nothing. The Bible, sure we say we are Israelites, and then we will go out there, find the sources. So we give thanks to the I.S.U.P.K and the commanding general, YAHANNA. You understand? Because if it wasn't for the I.S.U.P.K and the commanding general, YAHANNA, Rasta would have tell us we are African. And Christians would have tell us, yo, God love everybody and Jesus white. You understand? Yeah, man. All right, so let me read again. Then the Scots arrived in two main waves. The first in 1655, when as prisoners of war, they were sold as bond servants, you know what I mean, to the English, right? They were sold as bond servants to the English. And in 1745 to 46, after the failure of the Jacobites, so you have the Covenanters and the Jacobites rebellion. Jacobites were supporters of King James, claim to the English throne, because King James, you know what I mean, he was the first king of England, you know what I mean, and the sixth of Scotland, and the first of Ireland, a black man. 3,500 prisoners were taken after the Battle of Culloden, of whom 936 were sentenced to exile for life in the Americas, you know what I mean, which we read that is Jamaica. You understand? So when we tell us, say, yo, we are the Jews, we're not, you know what I mean, we're not telling nothing. The ancient world knew it. It's just the modern world now, you know what I mean, we're caught up in a Jamaican society and all of this thing. And we're proud of Usain Bolt. You know what I mean? We're proud of Shelley and Fraser. You know what I mean? We're proud of reggae music. We think Bob Marley are some, you know what I mean, prophet. So we love Jamaica because guess what, go on? Jamaica recognized worldwide, but we are not Jamaicans, brother. We are the Jews. Our history bigger than Jamaica Lily, brother, when it comes to where we really, you know what I mean, who we really are. Jamaica small, brother. Our thing no stop a run up and down and world record and music. Our thing are the rulership of the earth, brother. And that we are defend. We not defend no reggae music and no track and field, brother. I know that we are defend. We are defend rulership of this earth, brother. You understand? So, yeah, man. And like the scripture they don't tell we, say, yo, the Jews, them black. We don't read the scripture, them, but for the most part, Christians don't really want to hear it. You know what I mean? But like how we cite some sources, we're going to cite some more sources in the future. See? Now we'll just go back to the main source. Now go back to the Bible. See? And we're going to read some scripture. Right? So we jump to the book of Daniel. See, in chapter 7 and verse 9. And this is what it says. I beheld till the throne was cast down, and the ancients of days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. Right, so the Bible describes the Most High, the one where everybody call God, which his name is Yahweh in the Hebrew. You understand? Daniel saw him, Zane, and the hair of his head was the pure wool. What is wool? Wool is sheep hair. So which people upon the face of the earth have sheep hair? No black people, no we over here saying in Jamaica and in North America. The black people, them. We have sheep here, brother. So the Most High look like we. Let me jump to another scripture, Revelation 1 and 13. Zane. And it says, and in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. Verse 14, his head and his ear were white like wool. Talking about Christ. Revelation, when it starts, it says the revelation of Jesus Christ. Revelation means to reveal. So this is the revealing of Jesus Christ. That is what revelation is all about. The Christians make it out to be this horror movie book where everybody afraid to read because the Christians are just a religion of fear. You understand? And them no fear the Most High. See? But this book is basically revealing Christ to us. What he's about, what him look like, what him come to do, what him going to come to do. See? And it say him have hair white as wool, just like the Most High. So his ear was white and woolly. Which people have white woolly hair? Well, if you look, if your grandfather hair grew out to it full length, and him have a nice afro, it would have white and woolly. You understand? Let me continue reading. So 14, his head and his hairs were white like wool. So white is the color, wool is the texture. Let me continue reading. As white as snow, and his eyes were as flame of fire. So his eyes were red, flame of fire. You know, not no blue eye Jesus, meaning the white part of his eye was red. You understand? And when it's a flame of fire, it just give you an image of a man who is angry, not a smiling Jesus. You understand? A man that is furious. You understand? Let me continue reading. And why would he be furious? Because in people over here are serve slavery, captivity, and he might come to take a revenge. Let me continue reading. See? And his eyes were as the flame of fire. Verse 15. And his feet like unto fine brass. Remember, he had a garment long to him foot. The only thing John the Revelator, the man was see the vision of Christ. The only thing him could see was Christ's feet. And him saying feet look like brass. What brass look like? Brass is the color of my hand. Bronze. You understand? Brown. But it continues to say, continue reading. As if they burn in a furnace, meaning as if you put bronze in a furnace, meaning it was dark brown. Christ was a dark-skinned black man. Selassie no fit that, brother. Selassie is a light-skinned African/Arab. You understand? Let me continue reading. Selassie. And his voice as the sound of many waters. So his voice was rough. He had rough voice. You know what I mean? Christ was a black, woolly hair, masculine, angry black man. You know what I mean? All right, so we're going to jump to the book of Daniel 10 and 5. See, Daniel see the same Christ. You know what I mean? Because our people, the prophets of our people see visions, you know. That is where we bless within as a people. We have seers or prophets. I not talk the Wobia man, and I not talk the Wobia woman, and them me talk the man of prophets. Me talk real prophets, like commanding General YAHANNA. Zane, and the men under commanding General YAHANNA in the I.S.U.P.K. Real prophets. We bring out, you know what I mean, pearl events before it happen. You understand? Had visions. You know what I mean? Let me continue. Daniel 10 and verse 5. See? I read 5 and 6. Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loin was girded with the fine gold of Uphaz, similar to what John the Revelator saw. He had a golden girdle around the waist, fine gold. You know what I mean? Golden belt. Belt, like how you see the I.S.U.P.K man them wear. Yeah, on them garment. But Christ's one was gold. Continue reading. Verse 6. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning. So he had on a green garment. Continue reading. And his eyes as lamps of fire. See him like, oh, John saw his eyes were like flame of fire. John, Daniel saw that his eyes were like lamps of fire, meaning he was a hungry virgin. Christ never had a joking business. Saying, continue reading. And his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass. So him hand them and him foot was like the color of polished brass. The same brass with John the Revelator say, and me say brass is my complexion, but John in Revelation say as if it burned in a furnace, meaning Christ was even more darker than me. Dark skin. You'd have seen man say blacks. You understand? A black people book of that we are trying to show you. All right. The Bible was written by our foreparents. We wrote the Bible. And one of us, and one man of us write the Bible, you know. It was written throughout the ages. And the events are now in the Bible. All, you know what I mean, a summary of all the events in the Bible. Well, not a summary. A summary means that you change, but you know what I mean? A compilation then. And we write the Bible. We write this Bible, and the white man stole it. You understand? Our King James, can't say our king because Christ is our king. See? But King James was a king who was our people. See? He translated it because he knew who it belonged to. He knows that this book belonged to Feme people. And him and the Covenanters and the Jacobites, you know what I mean, was fighting for this book. Was fighting the Roman Catholic Church from, you know what I mean, tarnishing the reputation of this book, which they did. And now our people, when you tell them about the Bible, they don't want to hear it. Yo, a man write that book there in a road, boy. Yo, a white man book that, brother. Same Bible where say God black. Same Bible where say, yo, Jesus black. Same Bible where say the Jews them black, which we never touch shortly. The Bible even say the angels them look black. But you can't tell our people that because the Roman Catholic Church, you know what I mean, carry out them evil mission. And them paint, like when the scripture said, them paint them image in the book. That's why they give the white Christ, whitewashing, and show you bare image. Them image, you know what I mean, is like 1,000 words. An image speak 1,000 words. That is why, that is the importance of the white Christ. You understand? But the words them, where you read in the Bible, you know what I mean? It's hard for you to visualize them in your mind because of the image them where the Roman Catholic Church put out. You understand? But we are work with the words. We not work with no image. Because the Most High tell us, yo, thou shalt not create any graven image and bow down to it and worship it. That is what the Catholic Church does, and that is what Christianity does. You know what I mean? Even if them don't bow down to the white Jesus image, them have it in their mind, so them bow down to it in their mind. Because every time you say Jesus, what come to a man's mind? The white image. So when they go in bed and them pray, because Christians think Jesus is God, you know. So when they go in bed and pray, a white Jesus in them brain. And the one they were more Rasta-centric, them have Selassie in them brain. You understand? That is the destructive nature of an image. All right. Let me jump to the book of Ezekiel 1 and 5. That's why the Most High tell we, so don't create no image, you know what I mean, of him. That's why him hide the fact, say, yo, him hide him face from we. Because now we have to create image of him and bow down to that and think of that a God. Yeah, man, that people used to do, man. Remember, say, our people worship the image them. Let me show you how powerful images. Instagram. All of the Instagram model them look the same way. Same makeup. So now your girlfriend or your yard will look like the same woman there on Instagram. And all of them look like one woman. One makeup routine. And all of them look the same. All of them want to have the same shape. All of them want. You get me? I say that is image, the importance of image. People see image on social media, on TV, and emulate image. Yesterday, I bring out where, you know what I mean, Mali, about the Mali thing. The person in the article say the reason why I'm take Mali is because I'm see how much fun the people them in the rave party them did have on TV. On TV. So him take a Batman jog. Because it look like, say, oh, them people, they have fun. The image that trip up our people, brethren. Things that we see on social media, what we see on TV, my youth, and mess up our brain. Same thing the white image of Jesus do. In Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 5 and 6. And it said, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Right, so 4 living creatures came out of what we would call a UFO. The Bible call it a wheel or a chariot. See? So Ezekiel saw 4 creatures come out of this. See? Let me continue reading. Verse 6. And everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings. That no look like the angel them where the Christian church portray 4 faces and 4 wings. Our people never know say that in the Bible either, you know. So where the Christian church are show, them are show flying babies, white babies, flying babies. You know what I mean? Flying white men, flying white women. But Ezekiel I call them creatures. You understand? Probably if you see them, you would have say alien. But they're not alien. They are angels. You understand? Them have 4 faces. You understand? Let me continue reading. Verse 7. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet were like the sole of a calf's foot. You know what I mean? Mean they had on footwear. See? Let me continue reading. And they sparkled like color of burnished brass. So them look like brass, just like how Christ had the color of polished brass. They had the color of polished brass. Mean them are black. Them, you know what I mean? Them complexion was black. You understand? All right. We're going to jump to Jeremiah 14 and 2. You know what I mean? And this make we know, say the Jews them black, you know. And say the Bible I talk about we, you know. We never forgot to that book, this book, another book. Like how me bring out the sources them earlier. I never need them book them. I never know nothing about them book them. A general YAHANNA, I see I talk about the Bible. And I say, look, the Israelite them black. And me believe because of that, but our people them need sources. They not trust the Bible because the white man paint a bad picture upon the Bible. You understand? All right, so we are going to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 14 and 2. See? And it said, Judah mourneth. Who is Judah? Judah is the long word for the word Jews. But specifically, Judah is the tribe of Judah. But at this time, it was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. We are the Benjamites here in Jamaica, Trinidad, Bahamas, Barbados. You know what I mean? We are Benjamites. We live amongst Judah. They were calling all of it, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, Jews. So this I said, the Jews mourn it, Zin, and the gates thereof languish. What it mean by our gates languish? It means the gate was supposed to protect we yard, it weak, it languish. Now protect the yard. Talking about our leaders. You understand? And you can clearly see that we have weak leaders. From the politicians to the Christian church, who Rasta leaders, them, who claim they are leaders over black people. Them weak. Them allow everybody to come in at the yard and do what they want with our people. You understand? That's why we implore you, make the I.S.U.P.K put on a new gate on the yard. You understand? And at that with the yard, we have put a new gate on the yard, brethren. You understand? Take off the whole gate. Christian church and the JLP and the PMP and your Rastafari leader them. Take off the gate there and put it in a barrel and shove it down a gully. And put on a new gate, a steel gate. You know what I mean? We can lock. You understand? And with somebody that they watch the gate to make sure say, yo, anybody not come in. You understand? But right now, black people gate languish. See? They are black and to the ground, meaning different shades of black or dark or brown. And the deeper you go down in the side, you know what I mean? It's dark or brown, you find. You understand? All right, let me jump to another scripture. Songs of Solomon, 1 verse 5. So the first scripture me learn when me learn say me an Israelite. Yeah, man, the amount of people I argue with before me even come in the truth. And when them, you know what I mean, when them don't want to listen, but just say, go to the Songs of Solomon 1 verse 5. And then them twist and them turn and them go on like them want to avoid that one, and them don't want to acknowledge that Solomon said. You know what I mean? You find it quick and fast. All right, so this is the book of Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5, and it said, Solomon speaking, you know, saying, I am black, but comely. And them things make me love the truth, brother. And them things make me know say me an Israelite. I don't know source, I don't know book, but we have the books. See? But our first source of the Bible, Solomon said, I am black, but comely. What comely mean? We know what black mean. What comely mean? Handsome, beautiful. So Solomon I tell us say he's black, but he's handsome. You must say, me black, but me no ugly. You understand? All right, let me jump to another scripture. We are jump to the book of Job 30 and 30. See? And them things I make me know so we are Israelite, brother, and enough other things. You know what I mean? Enough other scripture. You know what I mean? So this is the book of Job 30 and 30, and this is what it says. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. See? Meaning, if Job did white, sickness could turn him skin black. You understand? Him did black already, and his skin get blacker. Let me jump to the book of Acts 13 and 1. I'll wrap up the class. You know what I mean? We do a breakdown on them scripture already, you know. You know what I mean? So we can just rally back to enough of the videos, then we upload videos, you know what I mean, 5 times per week. See? Yeah, man. So we have, you know what I mean, a good catalog of videos so we can just run through, you know what I mean, and learn what I go on. You understand? As well, watch your classes. You understand? So we did the book of Acts 13 and 1, and it said, remember when we read earlier that many of the Jews from Spain they were exiled and they settled in Niger. Enough people don't know so the word Niger mean black, you know. And there were Jews that were living in that land. It means black. We're going to read the book of Acts chapter 13 and verse 1, and this is what it says. No, there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. The word Niger means black. Just type it in your phone. Meaning of the word Niger. Just go over Google, type in Niger. So, you know what I mean? Barnabas and Simeon were called Niger, mean blacks. They call them blacks. Niger is where you get the word nigger from. In essence, they were called nigger. They were in Rome, ruled by white people, and they were calling them nigger. You understand? Eventually, this same Rome overthrew Jerusalem, like I brought out earlier. So, in the time of Acts, Christ had already died. Jerusalem was now under pressure. By the time of 70 AD, now them decide, say, yo, them are going to run in, starve way out. It's a terrible thing. It's not the book of Babylon to Timbuktu. Then, from Babylon to Timbuktu, in this book, it's full story. Then, and in other sources. Then, starve way out to the point that we didn't have anything to eat, that we had to eat our children. Terrible, terrible situation. But Christ did already tell we, say, look, when you see Jerusalem compassed with army, flee into the mountains, go in Africa, like what him did do. Not to learn, to escape persecution, because Christ never go in Africa to learn. Mary and Joseph fled from Herod, who wanted to kill Christ, them fled into Egypt. Christ was telling us, look, flee in Africa, in the mountainous region. Because when the Romans them surround, you know, that is the most high judgment. He must get rid of all of you know. Flee into Africa. The Romans in 70 AD did this. Some of us, a million of us, thereabout, probably more, probably a little bit less, at that time fled into Africa. And many of us fled into Europe and other places. Then, when we were in Europe, we got persecuted in Portugal, Spain, and as I just brought out, in Scotland more recently, then, and in England, and so forth, and shoved down in Africa. Some of us was directly thrown to Jamaica. You understand? Some of us was directly shipped to Jamaica, where the plantation was already at. Even while we were in slavery in Jamaica, our people were still fighting the British and the Scottish over there in England for power, until them finally get them victory. And then just last week, cut we off completely. We don't even know who we are anymore. But we are royalty, even up until the point where we were in Europe. We are still royalty, because King James and many other rulers came out of us in Europe. We rule Europe during the time when them call the Dark Ages. That's why them call it the Dark Ages, because them want to say, look, them no remember nothing. But in fact, them must say, oh, dark as in black people ages. Them say them claim them don't know what took place or don't have much information. That is a lie. Them can tell you what used to go on in a dinosaur time, but them don't know what used to go on in the Dark Ages. That's a lie, brother. Them a try hide with history. You know what I mean? That's why we give thanks to the I.S.U.P.K and the Commanding General YAHANNA. You know what I mean? And with that, we're going to jump to the security announcements. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments or your questions, and share on all social media platforms. You understand? All right, these are the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and the Commanding General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world after 6 months. If a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18 and 21, and Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests. not mandatory, whatsoever amount you'd like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation, that is the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. You can find this in the book of Leviticus 23, verse 24 to 25. This is the first day of the 7th month, and this is on Sunday, the 25th of September. Reminding Akiam and Akwatiam, to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he's to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, we say I.M.A.D.U, which means to stand. Sar, which means turn. Wapanya Akwadam, which means and face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew and then in English. Abanawa, Shabashemaya, Wadash, Aya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwatka, Taba'a, Patazaka, Aya, Aisha, Maharataza, Kawa, Aya, Pashamaya, Natanganawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalaklanawa, Kawabwat Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kawabwat Yanawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Anawa, Manasayawan, Abal, Awashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'atapara, La'ayawalamiam, Aman. In English, our Father which art in heaven, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Amen. This is the prayer for the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers and the school. Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasures of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the Edomites and the nations and their drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, Skinheads, Pasikamatazi, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space program, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet and the airwaves. Look. And the airwaves, cable access channels, and the radio channels convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us and bring swift destruction to all the Edens that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plagues shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let YAHANNA, Michael, and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and punish all the evils that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that has done it. Cause it to be spread through the media, throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of YAHANNA, thank you always, so be it. All right, this is the prayer for the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Bahasham Yahawashai, Mamokosha, Nathanlanawa, Akak, Larapa'a, Kalmakala, Wakalmarawa, Akak, Lata'ar, Amatazoraya, Akak, La Aquayam, Amafiam, Akak, Irakawa, Atamala, Nagarashan, Bahasham Yahawashai, Tawada Aman, in English, Yahweh, in the name of YAHANNA, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out in the name of YAHANNA. Thank you, so be it. All right, this is a prayer for the blessing, to bless Israel, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahawashai, Baraklanawa, Wayasharala, Wa'ah, Bayatapariam, Barak, Rapa'a, Magan, Agan, Commanding General YAHANNA, the generals, captains, officers, troopers, the young men and the sisters, Bahasham Yahawashai, Tuara Aman. In the English, what we said was, Yahweh, in the name of YAHANNA, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones in the name of YAHANNA. Thank you, so be it. All right, sir, which means to turn. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel, I Margin Shabbat. I Madio. Barak. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai Barakathon. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel. I Madio Shabbat. I Madio. Barak. Yahweh Shamar Alathon Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. Yalagata. Class dismissed. Alright, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, leave your questions, your comments. You know what I mean? Let me just put in the sign up sheet. Alright, lucky, I operate from the phone, so it's kind of difficult. Alright, so we have uploaded the sign-in sheet, the attendance sheet. 1 second. Alright, so remember to sign in, you know what I mean? Yeah, man. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also leave your questions or your comments in the comment section. And with that, Shalom.